So let me give you examples of each of these things. Self-awareness. If you've ever gone through a failure of some sort, it makes you question who you are. And I think about folks that I know that have been fired or who have been laid off, and they question themselves. They question their integrity, they question their values, they question their worth as an employee. And many of us have gone through things like that. And so it builds an opportunity for self-awareness, knowing what our values are. It also teaches us to take risks. So it builds self-awareness and it helps us take risks. Some of us think about taking risks and we think about things like speaking in public, and it's terrifying. And the idea of speaking in public is enough to make us want to crawl in a hole and never come out. But the reality is many of us for our jobs need to take risks. And so we have to start with small risks and we have to build from there. And what we learn from taking a risk, whether it be I'm going to try for that job I didn't think I could get, or we're going to try for this percentage of market share and this level of penetration within our markets, all of those things will teach us what works and what doesn't work. But without taking a risk, we won't know that. So we need to figure out, how do we take risks? And the other thing that risks teaches us when we take a risk is that we won't die from that risk. We really won't. I know a number of people that hate public speaking, but when they speak, they survive. They manage to come out at the end stronger than they have been. And many of you have tried things you didn't think that you'd be capable of doing, and you've succeeded. And so those risks continue to teach us. One of the companies that did not take a risk well is Blockbuster Video. How many of you remember Blockbuster? So Blockbuster Video was a video rental company, and remember back in the day of VHS tapes? They had tapes and they had DVDs. Well, we started seeing online streaming and online stores coming into existence, and what ended up happening for Blockbuster is they ended up closing because they didn't take a risk. The gentleman who created Netflix, his name was Gary Reed. Gary Reed rented a video from Blockbuster, and what he ended up doing is returning that video about 6 weeks late, and the fee was astronomical. And he said, this is stupid. Why does this system exist this way? There must be a better way of renting video. So he created Netflix, the system where they would mail out movies to different people. And you could keep the video as long as you wanted, as long as you paid a monthly fee. Mr. Reed approached Blockbuster and said, I have a new way of delivering movies to people's homes. And Blockbuster could only view failure as loss. We're losing our brick and mortar stores. And so they were so concerned about loss, they couldn't see the opportunity. And what ended up happening is we know that Netflix is highly successful, that they're doing an amazing job and bringing in income and money, and Blockbuster went bankrupt with $1.1 billion in debt. So we have to look at the risk ahead of us and know that that risk is an opportunity. And especially in the spot that you're at as credit unions, you need to know that these risks will pay off. There's things that we need to try and do. The third thing that we can learn from failure is resiliency. Resiliency is the ability to bounce back. We all know people that have failed at things and then have just stopped trying. And they never learned to bounce back. But people who learn to bounce back are much more successful. So resiliency. The final thing about resiliency and these pieces, awesome, is that it teaches us to look at things differently. And this picture is of a little girl holding a stick. A friend of mine came up to me and told me about his daughter, and she had a stick. She was playing out in the yard with this stick. And she was so excited, you know, like kids do, like she's flinging it around, it's a sword, it's all of these things. And then the stick broke in half. And as a dad, he panicked and he thought, oh no, I know what's coming. Weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth because her toy broke. And he looked up, and what he found was not that. What he found was his daughter smiling at him, holding 2 sticks. And that's what she said. Look, Dad, I don't have just 1 stick anymore. I have 2 sticks. And it's such a fantastic visual of what it is like to look at risk differently and look at failure differently.